Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too. Continuing my tribute to Robert Moore, a few things I want to say about masculine potential. There's a failure of ritual leadership in our culture right now, maybe all around the world. And there's a deep neurophysiology about ritual. It really changes the chemicals going on in your body, and therefore your brain, and your way of looking at things. And once you realize that there's something positive about ritual enactment, not obsessional, as Freud might have said, cultural anthropology teaches us how important this is for the psychosocial context in which people live. And ancient people had ways of manifesting this in a constructive way through the rites of passage. Like Jung, I believe there's deep structures in the psyche, and Robert Moore was like a neo-Jungian. In the next couple of days, I'll be talking more about his models of four: the king, warrior, lover, magician, and the female aspect of that, of queen, mother, Amazon, Hytera, and crone. So there's definitely female models for this also, but today I'm just talking about the deep structures in the male. So transformation usually has to happen in a contained space, whether it's the kiva, the forest, the temple, some threshold, some portal that you pass from the secular world into the sacred world, because regeneration always happens in sacred space. That's how you know you're in sacred space. You come back feeling renewed, fresh, born again, so to speak. Now, most people have to go through some kind of traumatic experience, and if it's in the ritual container, then at least there's a ritual elder presiding over how hot the situation is, the pressure cooker of the experience, and they know from experience how to not keep you in the container too long so you don't get burnt, overdone, or take you out too soon when you're a preemie and you're undercooked. So the ritual elder is the one who oversees that. And also, you learn to be seen by the elders. And here's a function of what I would call the king, or the inner ruler, or the inner royalty, or the center of the psyche, or the self, which is the totality of all potential. It is the organ of acceptance par excellence. The ego usually rejects the negative and only wants the positive. But the self, like the Tao, it contains the yin and yang. Both sides are necessary for the coin to exist. So the self function is the one that enables you to integrate the adversarial relationships, the polar opposites, the things that turn out to be complementary on a continuum. So you find these images of perfection, the various archetypes, and one of the images of perfection about the king is that the king's purpose is to liberate and bless. The whole function of why they're in the position they're in as a terrestrial representative of the celestial forces is to acknowledge other people's creativity, to see them, to admire them, to raise them in station, so that the realm is benefited by the more creative people that there are. The king is really a patron of the arts, or the kingly function is one to use the exchequer, use the finances, use the resources to make sure that there are bards and musicians and dancers and poets and creative people building things and creating innovation so that everybody in the land has potable water, medicine, education, access to opportunity, and justice, because there can't be peace without justice. So the way I would say you can embody that kingly function which is to bless and liberate other people, is to ask yourself this question. When was the last time you blessed a younger person? When was the last time you looked at somebody younger than you, and instead of setting it up that they could admire you, you admired them? If you can't remember the last time you saw a young person and saw their magnificence and told them that, then your child or adolescent is probably wounded and needs a little bit more spiritual vitamins to feel really good about themselves and acknowledge their own worth. Because when the king sees you, it's called darshan in yoga. You come before the guru, and the guru looks at you and gives you what they call the constituent glance of being. Like to constitute something is to make it up, make it seem real. So all of a sudden, I feel more real because the king looked at me and recognized me and blessed me. It made me feel like I have something beautiful within me that needs to be brought out and shared with the rest of the community. So there's a magical identification that comes between you and the kingly function, because the king says, if something is wrong with you, I can't thrive because I am one with the land. And if there's something wrong with the land or anybody in the land, it's offensive to me. And so I'm like one with the bones of the land. Something's rotten in the state of Denmark, I feel it. And so I can only thrive if you thrive. So I have a vested interest in helping you to thrive. And when you do, I thrive also. And that's the identification that you get between yourself and the king. So everybody wants to be blessed. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be recognized. Everybody wants to be acknowledged. So get out of any kind of narcissistic personality disorder as if everything revolves around you. Because when you're king, everything does revolve around you. But you don't act as if it does. You act as if everything revolves around everything else. And I'm here to make sure that that happens. So as a man, you're not trying to cut anybody down to size. You're not trying to one-up anybody. You're not trying to prove that, your penis is bigger than somebody else. No. That's the old bully boy way. You're here to recognize the living spirit embodied in other people and do what you can to help people accept that fact and bring it out to the good of everybody else.